Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show. You are listening to the Wannabe Critic podcast. You know what they say? Two's, what do they say? Two's a pair, three's a crowd. What is it? Four's a party. We have a full party of individuals this evening. What's the saying? I feel like a freaking idiot now. What is it?
I always heard three was a crowd, but that doesn't apply
three's a
here,
crowd.
So
Three's a crowd, but what's two? What would two be? Two's a couple?
Unkindness.
I think two is just right.
Two. What? We're restarting. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's staying in there.
I say we're keeping that. We gotta. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are going to be starting our review review of Mandalorian season, all of it leading up to Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're going to do a little bit of catching up. Obviously, we're hot off the heels of the Book of Boba Fett. We obviously discussed that last time, and I think we were all itching for more of the good stuff. You know what I mean? So sometimes you just got to go back to basics. So here we are, Mandalorian season 1. I'm super excited. I hope you guys are excited. We're going to do a little bit of catching up first, and we're going to get into it. But tonight I have with me one Elijah Middlesworth, one Jacob Labriere, and making a return appearance, ladies and gentlemen, Mikey Collins. Mikey, how you feeling, man?
Feeling great. How you feeling?
You've missed it, haven't you?
A little.
The mic was just calling your name. You were just like, you wanted back in. You listen to it week to week, and you're like, God, these guys are idiots. I got to spice this show up.
Honestly, I haven't listened to it in a couple months, and I binged a bunch of episodes today. That's why I called you. I was like, I want to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we missed you for sure. It'll be fun to sit down with you, and it'll be fun to see you talk to Elijah and Jake, because you've never met them before. Remember the last time that happened, Mikey? I put you and someone else you didn't know together in a Zoom room, and we just magic happened. Magic was made.
It was gold.
Yeah, it was golden, and we learned a lot of lessons, didn't we? Good times.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah Middlesworth, how are you feeling?
Oh, pretty good. Just got done watching the episode about an hour and a half ago, so it's somewhat fresh up in my mind. I'll probably forget a lot of key points, but excited to get into it. Really dug the RPG that we did on Friday night. That was epic. Can't wait to see how post-production sounds on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. It's the Star Wars RPG podcast, man, is just coming together, and I'm just having a blast making it. That's been part of the reason why we haven't been recording Keeping It Real that much. Is because I've just been working on that along, I just got a new job, and there's been a ton of other stuff. But yeah, I was really, really pleased with that session, and it's been a lot of fun to edit it the past week or so. And man, there's a lot of editing that needed to happen because of just because of the way we recorded. So, we're always learning. But anyways, Jake, how are you feeling?
Feeling good.
All right, no one cares.
Here we go.
I'm just kidding, Jake.
All right, nope. That's how it's gonna be. We're gonna play that game tonight.
No. We all want to know what we're gonna start with you. What have you been up to?
Nothing.
Don't be
Tell
that
them about
way.
your costume.
You're being ridiculous. You're being ridiculous. You're worse than Jace. God.
Jake, tell them about your costume on Saturday.
Oh yeah, our fantasy night dinner. I was a Viking brute. The costume went well. Elijah shot an arrow through my shield.
I did do that. Yeah,
that was awesome.
And you blocked it?
No, I was holding it, and Elijah was like,
I was going to, but then I was like, you know what? This probably is not a great idea. So we put it on the ground.
This is one of those things, that may not be a good idea.
If it was daylight, I probably wouldn't have done it, but it was like 11 o'clock at night.
If it wasn't 11 o'clock at night and you weren't, if it wasn't 11 o'clock at night and you weren't like 5 bourbons deep, you would have done it. I'm
Pretty much
kidding.
just the daytime.
I'm teasing. I'm joking. I'm joking. No, we had a good time. Any games you've been playing or anything like that, Lige? Or
Just been-
Jake? Sorry, Jake. Not
Well,
Lige.
fine. Don't ask me that.
I'll ask you in
that
a second
question.
whenever it's your turn. All right. Relax.
Just a lot of Minecraft. Been probably in the past 3 days. I think I've probably put like 8 hours into Minecraft. So a lot
Wow.
of that.
That's a lot.
about it.
That's. I mean, that's really not a lot of time though for something in Minecraft. I mean, so
Like, what, 2.5 hours? I mean, that's a lot for me. Two and
Yeah,
a half
that's
hours
Literally
a
when
night.
he gets
true.
home from work. And
Yeah, it's
until,
like you-
until dinner time.
yeah, until your dinner time, and then you neglect your wife afterwards, and then you go and play more Minecraft. Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I told her to sleep in the patio. So
so you could have the full room to play Minecraft.
it's an immersive experience.
She walks in, you're like, get out. It's like it's time for bed. No, you're on the patio with the.
I told you not to
Get
bother me.
What's
Go
that
sleep
ugly
with the dog.
Yeah, say what's the ugly dog you have? A Weimaraner? That guy's an idiot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a
Says
Weimaraner.
the guy who's got a mop as a dog. Shut up.
Oh my god, one large mop and 2 mini mops. All right, and they
Yeah,
are
you gotta-
adorable.
You got mops and mentally disabled cats. So I want to hear it.
Because oh my god, you're a horrible person. All right, moving on to Lige. Lige, what have you been doing? What have you been playing?
Just same as Jake, just Minecraft, just using up that realm that you refuse to play on. You know, I spent like $8 a month on it, and you won't play with us. So.
I
Well,
told
he's
you.
still paying for it.
I told you.
I'm sending you the bill.
What? How much is gonna be like $4 a month or something like that?
No, it's like $8.
I'm not paying you $8 to pay for your Minecraft realm.
You
I
agreed
said-
to it.
You agreed. You signed a contract.
I agreed to pay that for the realm each month.
Yes.
No, I'm not doing that, dude.
No. Each month it's your turn.
No, I'm not going to.
Yes. Fine.
Oh,
whatever.
like
Keep
we're
that way.
taking turns each month?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I'll pay. I'll pay, dude.
This is a great Star
Oh,
Wars
God.
podcast, boys.
Yeah. Hey, this is the Wannabe Critic podcast, all right? Don't you ever forget it. If you made it this far, God bless you. No, it's good to hear that you guys been playing Minecraft. That's great. Anyways, Mikey, what have you been up to, man? It's been. When's the last time you were on for something? Was it a Game Club episode?
Yeah, I think it was me, you, and Ethan for
Uncharted.
something. No, there was something after that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
It was a couple months ago.
Yeah, it's been a
But-
while. I'm glad to have you back. I'm glad you're excited to podcast again because that's always the best. That's always really the best time to podcast is whenever you really, really, really want to. So
Yeah, for
there you have
sure.
it. Nothing's been too crazy with me. You know, just been playing games. You know, doing other stuff. My wife's trying to scare me through the window. Hey, get out! Go away.
Tell her to sleep on the patio.
Yeah, she's pissing. She's interrupting me on purpose. All right. Anyways, nothing's been up with me really. Working, playing games. That's about it, man. I'm trying to wrap up Guardians of the Galaxy. I have this really bad habit where I like jump around to like multiple games. And I struggle, man. I struggle like staying on one game for a while. Although Horizon comes out like today, as of like today. And it's still not downloaded because my internet freaking sucks. But I'll probably be spending quite a bit of time in that. Mikey, you look puzzled. What was the deal?
To you about that game like 5 months ago. How are you still playing it?
I did not buy it 5 months ago. I bought it in.
It feels like it was 5
Wait,
months
when did
ago.
it
That
come
was
out?
A while ago.
November?
Like 5 months ago.
Yeah, I guess it came out like in.
Emma's creeping.
Yeah. Go away.
Hi, Emma. Hi, Emma.
Yeah, I still haven't finished it. I'm really enjoying it, but I still haven't finished it.
It looks
So-
like a dope game.
It is. It's really fun. I bought it for like $35 or something like that, but I mean, I think
That's awesome.
I would have been happy to pay for it at $60.
Really? Yeah, I've seen it on sale a couple times. The lowest I've seen is like 40, but 30 sounds like a pretty good deal.
Yeah. I think I had some points saved up or something like that. So,
Oh, nice.
anyways. All right. So, let's get to the main topic of discussion. The Mandalorian, Episode 1, Season 1. Released in 2019. although it feels much longer ago. Whenever we booted up the episode for the first time, it feels like it's been forever since I watched this first season.
That was 2 houses ago for me.
It's kind of crazy to think about how much, just how far we've come, like with Mandalorian and just the whole story and just like how they've done everything.
Yeah.
It just feels so surreal to like go back to this first episode and like watch it. But The Mandalorian episode 1, it says on IMDb, I thought I had the right thing pulled up, but apparently I don't. This first episode is directed by Dave Filoni and written by Jon Favreau, starring Pedro Pascal. And this is really annoying. I thought I had this already. Whoops-a-daisies. Anyways.
What do you want to know? I got some stuff pulled up here.
Well, why don't you just tell us the synopsis really quick?
So this takes place 5 years after the fall of the Empire. The Mandalorian collects a fugitive on an ice planet and then moves on to go off after a secret fugitive and he's hired by the Empire, an underground sect of the Empire that is, and meets up with a Ugnaught and a assassin droid.
And fights a dope pack of Nikto mercs. Does anyone know what planet that they were on? Because it'd be really easy to say. It'd be really easy to say like, oh, it's just another desert planet, so it has to be Tatooine, right? But it's not Tatooine actually.
Arvaia 7 is what it's called.
Yeah, something.
ARVAIA-7 is what the desert planet's called.
Yeah. Yeah, total. Yeah, I for whatever reason I thought it had been on Tatooine, but I guess he's on Tatooine whenever he goes to the bounty office, though, right? Like to Carl Weathers' character, correct?
No, that's Navarro.
Why do I always get Navarro and Tatooine mixed up every single time? Why do
they look the
I've
same.
said that. Yeah, I mean they do look pretty much identical. Okay, I finally got the IMDb pulled up for this. It says a Mandalorian bounty hunter tracks a target for a well-paying, mysterious client. The director is Dave Filoni. Writers are Jon Favreau and George Lucas for this first episode, starring Pedro Pascal, Carl Weathers, and Werner Herzog. I don't know who that is. Is that the blue guy at the beginning? Maybe.
Man, probably.
I don't know.
Did they mention Nick Nolte at all?
They did not.
Oh, that's a shame.
It is. He does a really good job. What's his name? Queel.
Queel.
Yeah, exactly. So, upon rewatching, what are some thoughts like going through your guys' head? Mikey, since you're the guest of honor, we'll start with you.
He's breaking up on me so bad. I have no idea what he just said.
We don't either. We just piece it together randomly. So
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
So, upon rewatching, what was this first? I mean, how did it hit for you guys? Like after everything we've seen so far, like what were kind of some thoughts going through your mind, like as we watched this first episode?
I mean, for me, just it's cool going back. I mean, it's just like watching the original trilogy after you watch all the newer movies. I mean, it's fun to relive it. I don't know. Knowing what comes, it's not really boring. It's just I have a hard time rewatching things a lot. But I enjoyed this watch through though. It was cool.
Lige?
Not a lot stood out to me though.
Okay, Lige.
Just that immediately I noticed I like this 10 times better than Book of Boba Fett.
It's true.
Literally. I was, you know, it's bad to compare.
It is.
But
yeah.
like I find myself doing that so much with anything really, and it's just hard because whenever something like hits so good for you and then a similar property or like something similar out of the same franchise like doesn't quite hit the same way, you just have to question why that is, and the only way that I can think to do that is to compare and, you know, get to the root of it.
It was very interesting to see because I saw a lot of aspects of Mandalorian episode 1, a lot of similarities in episode 1 of Mandalorian and episode 1 of Boba Fett, kind of with the flashback sequences, kind of the mystery shrouding the two characters a little bit. And I just remember thinking, this is so much better, and I guarantee you it's because of who it was directed by, and Jonathan Rodriguez did not direct this first
Yeah.
episode. So
Singing Jonathan.
Stinking Jonathan, dude.
Honestly, I watched the last episode last night. I waited a while, but I didn't even think about that with this episode. I was that's what little of an impact it made on me that I didn't even think about it. That's kind of sad, but
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Jake, do you have anything to add to that? Like first impressions upon first episode rewatch?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty well the same for what they said. I went into it kind of the same, like what you were saying, trying not to compare, and I didn't. But pretty well as soon as it started, I was like, "This is so much better." It feels like Star Wars.
Yeah.
It looks like Star Wars too. I don't know, just the storytelling, even without dialogue, it's just so much better than what we got in Boba.
Well,
in
like,
my
and
opinion.
I noticed too, just the way they used CG in comparison to practical effects. Like the blue guy, like he's totally like a real person.
Yeah.
But the the squid guy, what's their name?
Oh, they're a Quarren.
Yeah, Corrin, exactly. Yeah. So the Corrin, there was parts of him that were definitely CG.
Yeah, some of his actions are pretty CG.
I did notice too that, like, am I breaking up again? Mikey's laughing. What's the problem?
I was laughing at Emma.
your wife's super creepy on you, dude.
Oh
It's really
god,
funny.
was she looking through that window?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was looking through that window or that
Yeah.
window?
Yeah.
Both windows.
Both of them.
Both.
She just,
Yeah.
I have got to get some freaking blinds put up in here. Throws off the totally throws off the flow of the pod. I just kind of watching that first scene and just watching, Pedro Pascal just kind of like dominate the screen, and like just all of our focus is just fixated on him, and it feels authentic. It feels right. Like it feels like it's supposed to feel,
Yeah.
And it's like, if there's going to be a lot of comparing to the Book of Boba Fett, like in this with these shows, I can already tell.
Mhm.
And it's not even close as to which opening or just which thing feels cooler to me. And like Boba Fett crawling out of the Sarlacc pit is cool. That's a dope thing for sure. But there's just so much mystery and so much to be like. There's so much that you're just not expecting. You're not really expecting anything out of what you're watching, even upon rewatch, even whenever you know it's going to happen. It's just like watching an old Western that you've seen a bunch of times and it still gets you, all the time. And yeah, I mean, it just makes such a good first impression.
Yeah.
Even with just little subtlety with like his characters, like the fact that he doesn't like droids, he would rather have a crappier speeder driven by a real human, or a real living thing rather than a droid. Just seeing, and I guess we can kind of segue a little bit, seeing what he really values. There's not much dialogue from him in this first episode, but like seeing what he truly values is such a big deal. Like in this first episode, like whenever the guy offers to pay, with credits or whatever, and then essentially whenever he goes to see about finding the child, he's going to be paid in Beskar for what he's doing. So it's like he would much rather have the Beskar, because then it makes him more a part of this clan, that he's so desperately trying to be a part of. And that's where he puts real value. Like that's where his purpose is. He does all this other stuff. So, I mean, obviously it passes the time for him, and he has to be a proficient warrior, but like the armor is that is his rite of passage, essentially, to become accepted in a lot of ways. And I just really like how they kind of subtly shown that. And now that we've seen 2 seasons of it, as well as, the Book of Boba Fett, it means so much more now. Like to us as the audience, as we're watching, it's like, oh man, we get to really see him go on this journey yet again for that armor, and it's going to be so satisfying when we get to see him fully dressed in it. So,
Yeah.
What were some like high points for you guys? Mikey, we'll start with you.
I mean, obviously the intro. I mean, that like you were saying, that it's such a good start to a series. And I don't know. I've always kind of liked the ice scene. That's probably the highest point, even though I know the ending is like what it is. But just the ice scene with it's just a good action introduction after that first brawl, because it shows you that it's Star Wars still. Like it shows you that it's a Western fisticuffs shooter, like shoot 'em up, and then it's like, oh, okay, it's still Star Wars. That's cool. And then it leads you in. I love that. I love that scene.
Yeah, just like the whole ebb and flow of that scene too, like
yeah,
looking for the ships. Well, and I did have one question though, like as I was watching that, I'm like, they're really far away from their ships. I'm like, did he walk that whole way, or like?
He had to take a
well, he has
speeder.
yeah. Well, I don't know.
I
Actually,
mean,
I
I
don't
get,
think they talk.
yeah, they don't. I mean, like
I was gonna say he would use just jetpack, but that's not.
he doesn't have it
He
yet.
doesn't have it yet.
So
Yeah.
I mean, how does he get there? When I mean, I guess we do see him later in the episode land on that no-name planet, and he's pretty far
Yeah.
away with the tracker. So
Mhm.
maybe he went the wrong way or something. And
Well, I mean, he waits at that port like he's been there before, so maybe they came and picked him up and then brought him there, and then he knew where to go. So I mean, it's
yeah.
not like he.
yeah, maybe he had a
know.
different driver on the way there or something. I don't know.
Or they just see ships landing and they just drive out to him.
Yeah, that's probably more likely.
Probably, yeah.
That's actually
Yeah.
probably more likely.
Yeah.
One thing that you liked, Lige.
I again with that fight scene, I really enjoyed that. I don't want to kick that in the dirt, but we were all kind of shocked at that first episode of Book of Boba Fett where Boba Fett blows up that guy with the rocket. Well, Mando literally cuts a dude in half with a door. You know, why were we shocked about the about the rocket when there's, you know,
I think
separation of body parts.
Yeah,
well,
no remorse.
they don't really show the door stuff though. They actually show him explode though. in Boba, don't
That's a
they?
good point. I mean, to me at that point, it's like imagination is greater than reality. Like
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
like you can imagine what's going on pretty
Yeah.
I mean,
in a lot of detail.
they show it like clamped down like on his body.
Oh,
And
like
then
to the last second.
Yeah, and then you see his like legs fall. I mean, obviously, you know, it is what it is. But there was one thing I noticed.
You
Go ahead, Jake. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, yeah, you hear the thud.
Yeah,
of
you
his
hear
body
the
hitting
thud.
floor.
Yeah.
You actually hear two thuds. If you pay attention, you hear two thuds. You hear the one outside and the one inside.
I didn't even notice that. It kind of reminds me of like whenever Django gets his kappa detated, and if you look just for a split second, you see two shadows. So his head flies out of that helmet, and you see it briefly, you know, and it does its job. But yeah, you hit it in the nail on the head. Like, you know, imagination is your greatest weapon, I think, in that type of scenario. But sorry, I didn't mean to derail you. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. So I was just adding on to Mike's comment, but I think my favorite part of this whole episode is the IG unit. I really love IG-88 so much, and then seeing IG-11 do his thing, it was also kind of the negative part for me because I was disappointed that he got blasted at the end. But I mean, just seeing that droid like in its full action, like we've envisioned him in the books, you know, because we've only had to use again our imagination when we see that character.
Wait.
And what he can do and the abilities that he can do.
Is that the
Go ahead, sorry.
same? Is that the same IG unit that we saw in Empire Strikes Back?
No, that's IG-88.
Okay,
IG-88 was in the books. I think he was killed on Ord Mandel. I think.
gotcha. Okay,
I can't
gotcha.
remember. But
Do you guys know who
IG-11 is different.
Do you guys know who does the voice for IG-11?
No, I do not.
Taika Waititi.
Gwyneth Paltrow. Oh.
Who is it?
Taika Waititi. The guy who did. So he directed Thor Ragnarok, and he was the rock guy in Thor Ragnarok. Hey man, we got a spaceship. You want to come? That's Taika.
Oh, is that guy?
Yeah, that's Taika Waititi. Yeah, because I was
that's
like,
awesome.
at first I thought, I was like, is that Tamora Morrison? Because he kind of had an Aussie accent, you know. And I was like, who is that? You know, did they give him like a, you know, because Mark Hamill did a voice in Rise of Skywalker. So I wondered if they had done something similar. I was like, oh no, it's Taika Waititi. But
Who's Rio Hackford?
I have no idea. Never heard that name.
He's also credited to play IG-11 in The Mandalorian.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe he did the squeak sounds or whatever.
the miscellaneous sounds. So you were saying IG-11 is a pro and a negative for you. Can you go into that a little bit more?
I would, when I was watching it the very first time, seeing, they do the whole man thing and they take the big gun and they blast the door down, and it like cuts all the welds and it falls down and they walk in, Rambo and Terminator style side by side, after they had this huge battle. And then 30 seconds later, Mando just blasts him through the power unit. I was hoping that duo of them walking through that door was going to last, throughout the whole series. I thought that was going to be the Chewie and Han type thing going on there. So I was a little disappointed. I thought that was going to be a really cool aspect to the story, but as we will see later on in the series, it works out a lot better for a lot different reasons.
I had a similar thought the first time I watched it. I was like, oh my God, are they going to team up? Like, is this...
That was my thought.
Yeah, like, is this going to be a thing? And then it's like, no. But, dude, Din Djarin has ice in his veins, dude. Especially when it comes to droids. I mean, just emotionless. And it just plays so well into his character, just seeing him, like, annihilate that IG unit. But then he's curious and just kind of taken aback by whenever he meets the child in that moment, and, like, they touch fingers and just that whole thing. I'll never forget watching that. Me and Emma watched The Mandalorian together, and Emma noticed at first. She was like, "Is that Yoda?" And I'm like, "No, Yoda's dead, dude." And I was like, she's like, "I saw Yoda ears." I'm like, "No, you didn't." And then, Mikey, were you there with us too?
In spirit, sure.
I was like, "Mikey, I feel you." We were watching it together, and then sure enough, she called it. I was like, "No freaking way!" And I truly feel, especially with everything that we've gotten, like for the Book of Boba Fett, all the things that we didn't care for. I'm not going to use the word bad. I want to get away from doing that. For all the things that we didn't care for, I still think Book of Boba Fett at its worst is better than most crap that's on TV. Like,
absolutely.
I mean, at least right now, and it still played into this bigger story of Mandalorian, that we have now. And it hit me this time watching. I was like, Mandalorian is special. Like, this has literally saved Star Wars in so many aspects. Like, it was a trial run to see if, like, this TV show format would work, and they knocked it out of the park. So now we have all this other Star Wars content coming via television, and it just all works. And this first episode just really ignited a spark of hope for me, and really kind of got me back on A New Hope, Mikey. I saw Mikey give a look. I knew exactly what he was thinking. It just feels right. It just feels so Star Wars, and it's weird to think that, a couple episodes of The Mandalorian had come out basically right around the time of the Rise of Skywalker. And I found myself, it was really like, it was almost like those two things passing each other by were so intentional by Disney, because as my hype for Rise of Skywalker slowly kind of started fading away, my hype for Mandalorian quickly overtook that fandom, and it was like I didn't really care about Rey and Finn and Poe anymore. I just wanted to see what's going to happen to Grogu and the Mandalorian. And now we find ourselves in a really interesting situation where that's pretty much how the entirety of the Star Wars fandom feels, is what's going to happen next to these characters, and where's it going to take us, where's it going to take us next? So I love this episode. One thing I didn't care for, it's really, really hard to pick something that I don't care for, but I guess if I had to pick something, man, it is just really tough. Like, because I feel like this is a near perfect introduction for this show. And I guess if I had to pick something, like, I can't pick anything. There's anything that I would suggest would be overly petty, even for me. So I have nothing really negative to say about this episode. I think Carl Weathers can kind of ham it up. I think he's awesome. Like, I love Carl Weathers. but he totally just kind of he does kind of ham it up as this character a little bit, especially in later episodes. But man, just from the first shot of us landing on that first planet, Panogo or something like that, whatever it's called, to going for him to get his bounty puck, from meeting Kuil and riding the blurgs to fighting everything. The man, whenever we go see the armor for the first time, just all the mystery that they packed into less than 40 minutes of TV. It's nearly perfect, man. I don't really have much negative to say. I think it's a really solid episode. Do you guys have any negatives that you were thinking of that you weren't crazy about?
I don't think Jake gave his positive yet.
Jake doesn't get to talk because he was smarting off earlier in the episode. I'm just kidding, Jake.
Sorry, your internet sucks so bad I can't hear you.
Go ahead, Jake. Give your positive.
For real though, what did you say? Oh, no, my positives were pretty much the same. But I think my favorite parts was the intro, and then probably the where he freezes the dude in his ship. I didn't realize before that he had that whole system inside of his ship. I thought that was pretty dope. I like that a lot.
Probably like another visual cue as well. Like, he doesn't have that on with his new ship, so he probably ain't gonna be bounty hunting for a while. So I mean, why would you? I love he is like just so, again, kind of what we were talking about a couple weeks ago. Everything we wanted like Boba Fett to be for all these years, he literally is. Like, it's just it's so freaking awesome,
That was my thought when I was watching it. I was like, everything that we see from Mando in this episode is what we wanted from Boba. Like, I just felt like leaving the helmet on adds so much intensity, and it leaves a lot of anticipation, leaves a lot to your imagination. Even when it would show his face and something was said, it leaves a lot to your imagination on what he's thinking, what his face is doing. I don't know. It just adds so much, and I think Boba would have been so much better if we got more of that.
Especially,
sorry, go aad.
Well, I was just saying, especially like whenever he brings in his bounty to the ship, and like the guy's just like, okay, yeah, I'm molting, blah, blah, blah. And he's just not, he's not even saying anything. He's just been like, I would love to know what his face looked like, whenever.
Oh, I would love to too.
Because what if he's just like smiling the whole time, like, like,
yeah,
like he's just all,
like a psychopath.
Yeah, he's all, like, go ahead, yeah. Lige, I've never seen you make a face like that ever. Oh my god, go ahead. What were you gonna say, Lige?
I was just gonna say what a contrast between the two episodes, the Boba Fett episode 1 and Mandalorian episode 1. We see some lore in Boba Fett, but the amount of lore that we see in Mandalorian, I like so much better. We see the Kowakian monkey lizard, being roasted on a spit, when we're used to him sitting next to Jabba's side, and so that kind of gives a contrast between different planets, different cultures of what, animals are used for. And then we see the long-nosed Kubas that we see, talking to the comlink when they see Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and send the troopers to him. We see that. So those tie-ins, and then obviously the carbonite, system where, all we knew is that Han Solo was frozen in carbonite. We didn't know that was a thing. Like, that was an actual way to do stuff. And then that made that canon. Well, so seeing those few things is pretty cool.
And there's a guild of bounty hunters, and it's kind of crazy how well these guys like know Star Wars, because like in Empire Strikes Back, whenever all of the bounty hunters are being recruited, in the comics, which are now canon, Vader goes and visits Jabba and like mentions, like in a roundabout way, kind of like mentions the guild essentially. So like, especially like with Boba Fett, like, I don't know if he mentions the guild, but he just, he knows like where to find bounty hunters, and I'm assuming you would want to be a part of the guild, if you were a bounty hunter, but it's just kind of crazy to see how have woven everything together to make everything feel cohesive, and you don't really like question. You can like reach and find a piece of storytelling elsewhere that would match up with what's happening in a live action Star Wars story, like with what we're getting right now. And I just think that's really, really cool. You know, that if you were trying to find fault or like question if this could be canon or try and find loopholes or trying to find plot holes, I think it's really difficult to with this show, because there's plenty of substance there for the backstory and this new story they're trying to tell. So,
and I think that's one thing that we can, appreciate about both of these shows is that the callbacks to, the Dave Filoni's other shows, Rebels and Clone Wars, even Boba Fett, Cad Bane comes into the picture. There's a lot of cameos in these two shows that take us back to other reference material that ties things in, and so that we're not so lost when we see certain things. Like everything intertwines. It's all one big story, and it all makes sense.
Yeah, and just there's a respect that's given. And I was wrong earlier, by the way. It just says, as a writer, George Lucas, it says based on Star Wars by. So he's credited as being a writer because, it's based off of his creation.
Right.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, just there's a level of respect. And, I mean, Favreau is a huge Star Wars fan. Like, obviously, it's easy to tell. But, I mean, in movies for years and years, like, he's referenced Star Wars so many times. Like, there's several Favreau movies where he'll talk about, Star Wars and stuff. I think even on The Sopranos, like he was in there for a couple episodes, and he like talked about, he played himself, but I think he talked about Star Wars there as well. So he's just, it's cool to see people that are taking Star Wars forward and are doing it in a way that's like, okay, what do we really want to do? Versus what do the fans really want, and where can we like meet in the middle with those two things? Because it's like, oh, we should have Darth Maul get resurrected and like, come back from the fight again, man. It's like, yeah, but the fans, I don't know if they would like that, man. Like that would be cool, of course, because it's Star Wars, but I don't know if the fans would like it. I mean, I'd watch it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
Anything else to add from either Mike? You've been awful quiet. You got anything you wanna contribute, or are you just here for the ride?
I'm just happy to be here, baby.
It's all about the Mets, baby. It's all about the Mets.
No, yeah. I mean, you guys talked about it a lot since I last spoke. Yeah, honestly, I've just been listening along with your conversations about all the newest material and comparing it to this. It's a whole conversation that I want to go into, but for the first episode, I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut.
No, you have to start it. You're gonna
Lord.
say it. Just go into it, man, because you may not be here next time, and then we'll be like, I wonder what Mike had to say last time.
No, I mean, yeah, I get the helmet discussion where it's like, yeah, it would have definitely bettered the Book of Boba Fett, and I agree with that totally, because yeah, just even from this first episode, I completely agree with that. But man, it honestly, just watching this makes me sad about the Book of Boba Fett, because I was really I remember the episode we recorded, and I was really hyped about that, even though like a lot of it looked kind of weird in the trailers. I was really hyped about that. So just watching this honestly just makes me sad in a good way, because I'm just like, I'm happy for what we got, because this is it. It's so good. It's such a good episode. It's such a good series so far. We only have 2 seasons. It's so good. It's so good. I can't compliment it more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, it kind of goes back to that thing of I used to defend the sequel. I still like the sequel trilogy, but I used to I used to defend it tooth and nail.
Your arc on the sequel trilogy is just, I've been for the listeners, it's been like a roller coaster, because you just like, it's the best thing, just kidding.
I get so confused on a weekly basis.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate them. I just it's frustrating that I spent so much time defending them whenever we were going to get this. And it kind of goes back to that same thing. It's like, I'm all hyped for Star Wars now, and then Book of Boba Fett comes out, and it's like, yeah, okay, Mandalorian is really something special, and, they don't
really
want
is.
to. They want to make it. I think Ethan said something. Like they've made him the most popular character in television, and I wholeheartedly agree with that. Like it.
Yeah,
And
he's-
Ryan Dalton even said he's a Star Wars legend at this point. And he's
Yeah.
only got 2 seasons. He's been a character for 2-3 years.
I mean,
that's a lot for Ryan.
He's had I mean, I bet you he's had more screen time than Luke Skywalker.
Oh, absolutely.
Probably,
like-
yeah.
Like by and far has had more screen time, and like obviously you can't compare him, but they are really trying to solidify this guy as being the dude, like the new. Not all heroes have lightsabers, and
Yeah.
I just pictured after I said that, like I just pictured him with like a
Moscow Mule?
with a Moscow Mule or like a
No,
like
no,
a
no,
White
no,
Russian.
White
No, no,
Russian.
man,
White
Yeah,
Russian.
with the White Russian, and like
Yeah,
he
yeah.
has
No, man,
like
I'm the
he has-
dude.
Yeah, he needs like a mullet coming out of the back of his helmet with a robe on over his armor, holding a White
He'd
Russian.
probably still look amazing.
Oh my god, he would look glorious. But it's just like this first episode. It just does such a good job of taking us for a ride and giving us the right amount of questions to ask, delivering on some, but then leaving us with a cliffhanger, and it's just awesome. One thing I want to talk about briefly is, do you guys remember what your first initial reaction was to Baby Yoda? Grogu?
Dude, I freaked out. I thought that was amazing. I was like, what? I think I called you when I watched that first episode. I'm pretty sure. Because I think me and Zoe were over at your house for like the second or third episode.
Yeah.
We were freaking out about it.
Yeah, I think that might have
But-
been what it was.
That was when I knew. I was like, oh, because I think we were podcasting hard on Star Wars, maybe Rebels or
Yeah.
Clone Wars at that point. And I was getting kind of drained, and then the Mandalorian came out. I was like, oh, dude, this is gonna be
Yeah.
sweet.
I think we were doing Clone Wars at that time.
Probably, yeah.
Lige, do you remember?
Honestly, I can't. I've consumed so much Star Wars content since 2019, so I honestly can't remember. But knowing me, I probably made like some smart aleck comment about it. So
Okay. Jake. Jake.
Mine was the same as Mikey's. I was super stoked.
I legitimately was like, where are we going here? Like, what the heck are we doing here, Harry? Like, where are we going? And it just the questions still haven't stopped, and they're just drip feeding us, and it's awesome. I'm really happy with where Star Wars is at.
I'm pretty sure like most Star Wars fans, after they watched the first episode, were like, finally,
Yeah.
finally, there's gonna be
Literally.
something like I can. Honestly, I've been reading a lot of the books lately, and it's like it gives you the same feeling as the books, where you're just like, oh, they're finally gonna give me something I need to answer, and I want to continue to consume their content rather than be like, here's all the stuff. We'll see you for the second or third movie, I guess, whatever.
now
But-
I love Grogu, but does anyone else feel like they really rolled the dice with making the child, baby or Yoda species? They really rolled the dice with that.
I mean,
They had.
I don't think it was too much of a gamble.
it's
in my
Yoda. It's
opinion.
Yoda's. Yeah, there's only one other one except.
Well,
for,
I know. So think about this. You have all the hardcore, old school Star Wars fans like Ethan. And they are disappointed. Sorry, Ethan.
Whoa.
He just like looked right
So
at the
they-
camera. He looked right at the camera when he said that. That was awesome. I'm gonna clip
Facial
that.
expression.
I've been holding that joke in for a while. So you got old school hardcore Star Wars fans that watch the sequels, and they're so disappointed with the sequels. And then Rise of Skywalker, and like Gabe said, Rise of Skywalker and Mandalorian come out right about the same time, give or take a few months,
Mhm.
and they throw the Baby Yoda card in there. You already have disappointed Star Wars fans, and they could easily turn on that and say, well, now Disney's just throwing in whatever they want into the Star Wars universe. I mean, why would they replicate the same exact thing that they did in previous movies?
Well,
But obviously we know they didn't. It didn't
Yeah.
fail, but it could
Well,
easily have failed.
I think too. Like, go ahead, Mikey.
No, I mean, honestly, for me, when I think of like Star Wars, I mean, for non-Star Wars fans, anything that sticks out is probably something that will draw them. Like, you see pictures of Darth Vader, people who don't even watch Star Wars know who that's from.
Yeah.
You see pictures of Yoda, people who don't know Star Wars still know what that's from, you know? So if they throw some Yoda ears at the end of the episode, people are like, oh, hey, I know what that is. Yeah, I'll watch the next episode. That's interesting. So, I mean, I see why they would do that, even if it was a roll of the dice, even though I don't think it was, because they definitely had the story done and all that.
Well, no,
But-
yeah, exactly. Like they
At
knew
least the first season.
they know. Well, no, I truly believe that they knew exactly where where Grogu ends up. I think they know exactly what they were gonna do with him before they even started filming. Because if you're gonna roll a dice like that, you have to know where
You got to know the
Grogu-
whole story.
You have to know, yeah, exactly. And it's interesting. Did you guys know that Grogu was born the same year that Anakin was?
Yeah.
I think there's significance there. You know, we hear about, darkness rising and light rising to meet it. So, maybe the Force knew, is Grogu going to be the chosen one at some point? Post sequel trilogy, are we going to see a Grogu meditating, for the next movies? Like, is he going to be the next big Jedi Master? Like, there's all these questions, but I think they knew exactly where Grogu's story is going to end up. And I also think that they knew that people would be talking about Baby Yoda. So the first episode, I don't think people would have tuned in. But once people started talking about Baby Yoda and Baby Yoda started exploding on social media, that's what drew everybody. Was what Mikey was saying, that recognizable thing of, oh, is that Yoda? All these questions. It's like, oh, you got to watch it. It's like, oh, okay, and then they did. And people who aren't even really Star Wars fans became Star Wars fans. So it's just, this show's really special. It's bringing all kinds of people together, and I'm just excited that you guys are here along for the ride, and
Sure.
and we can offer sweet nothings into the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting close to about an hour, and you know how I like to keep these episodes short if we can. So, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Is the armor, is that Rook cast? Has that been revealed yet?
The armor?
Say that. The armor. What do you mean?
Armorer.
Oh, has it been revealed what now?
Is that Rook cast? Do we know who that is yet?
What her name is?
Yeah, the character name.
I don't know who that is. Yeah.
I can do some.
She was the leader of the Shadow crew or whatever on when Darth Maul ruled Mandalore. She was like Maul's like right-hand man, and she
wasn't in the Clone Wars, was she?
I think that's what he's asking.
Was she in Rebels?
I still don't think we
No,
know
she
who
was in
she
Clone
is.
Wars.
I think
Or
she's just
Clone
known
Wars,
as.
yeah.
It would have had to
Clone
been
Wars.
Clone Wars.
Yeah, it would have been Clone Wars.
Spoiler alert, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I only asked because I remember I thought that chick had like horns on her helmet.
Yeah.
So all it says about her character is that she did start the Death Watch on Glavis with Vizsla. So, and that's the only past information that we have with her. But it says that she founded the Death Watch with Vizsla.
Yeah.
Wow.
what they
So
got
she's
going.
like,
She's
she's
OG.
essentially like the remnants of Death Watch. That
Yeah.
that like clan is essentially the remnants of that.
Interesting.
Because she's kind of.
Unless this article has it wrong.
I was gonna say that's a pretty big deal.
That is a pretty big deal. I mean, that makes Din's journey that much more interesting because he's clinging on to these ideals that are founded upon, kind of messed up stuff. So
I was gonna say the bad guys.
yeah, like
basically.
literally the bad
Mhm.
guys. Got to throw in
If
that.
that's incorrect, blame Google, not me. So
Yeah,
Well,
gotta-
yeah, because the Death Watch can still take off their helmets, can't they?
Vizsla did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Vizsla did,
yeah.
yeah.
Vizsla did,
Maybe
but
'cause
maybe
he's the leader,
maybe it's
it's a
because he had the
different
dark saber. I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
the ruler
maybe.
can do what he wants. I don't know. See,
Wait,
this
if he can take the helmet off when he has the dark saber, then Din's fine.
yeah, literally.
Din
Yeah.
can come back.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe the armorer is jealous that Din
Yeah.
has the dark saber, and that's why she's like, oh, you know,
Maybe. You have to go to
She
the
did seem pretty cold when
Yeah.
she found out that he had the dark saber. But
So-
Yeah.
yeah.
Rook cast was in season 7 of the Clone Wars.
Interesting. I don't remember her.
I just recently finished it. That's why
Oh,
that was familiar to
Yeah,
me.
that's why he remembers
Gotcha.
it. Any other final thoughts, gentlemen?
I guess the only negative thought that I can give is the CGI did not age very well, in my opinion.
Yeah, especially like when the Razor Crest is like landing. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that looks really fake now.
Well, I really noticed it on the blurg, and I don't know if it was because I watched it on my monitor. I don't know if it was the refresh rate or what, but it looked really slow and really choppy, and it's only 2.5 years old,
Yeah.
so I wasn't very impressed with that. But that's really it.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it on my phone in the tub. You guys know I like to take
You
baths.
like your tub time.
I do like my tub
Nice.
time. I cracked open a Liquid Death, and I was watching it on my phone. And those iPhone 12s have a pretty nice screen, and even then I was like, man, this looks really like fake. But like 2.5 years, 2.5 years ago, we were like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever. But again, we still think that not the puppets, but the ships from the old movies, it's like we can acknowledge like, oh, that looks cool, but it's definitely aged. So
yeah, it definitely aged.
yeah. So Mikey, any final thoughts?
I mean, solid first episode. If you haven't seen it, what are you doing here?
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is Mando rewatch
Yeah.
episode 1, dude. And we are spoiling everything, including all current Star Wars stuff that's out right now. If you haven't watched it,
Yeah.
We've been bouncing back and forth like crazy.
yeah, that's why I wanted to do this show, is because I wanted us to have this discussion and like really just
Right.
put our be one with the Force, and do everything in our power to make sure that Robert Jonathan Rodriguez never lays a finger on Star
Never.
Wars ever again.
Ever.
Um,
God, the Vespas. Good
yeah.
The
Lord.
Vespas.
Granted,
Let's not talk about that. I have PTSD. Let's
Yeah,
not talk
sorry.
about it.
Granted,
Sorry, my bad.
I don't want to say that all of his ideas were bad. I mean, I feel like you could make him a producer, an executive, make him
Well,
a
that's
producer.
what
in
he
some
was.
way.
He was an executive producer in that
He-
whole show.
Well, I guess he was, yeah. But that's the thing, is he didn't direct every episode. So
No.
if he had a say in episodes 5 and 6, who knows what he actually was suggesting and that type of thing. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to going through this entire thing again, and then we're not stopping. I mean, come May, we're talking Obi-Wan Kenobi, the big O, the big O.
I hope that's the show of the year, because if not, I'm gonna lose all my faith in Star Wars.
If they mess up a show about Obi-Wan with Ewan McGregor in it, then there's no business for them doing Star
The only
Wars.
reason I have faith in that is because Ewan McGregor is a producer on that show, so I do have a lot of faith in that, because he does have his fingers in the whole deal. So
Dude,
that makes me feel pretty good.
I mean, look, Revenge of the Sith still exists. And, I mean, there's a lot of camp and cheese in that movie. I mean, come on. So
There's a lot of camp and cheese in all the prequels.
yeah. They're not going to... What I'm trying to get at is literally anything is better than the last time we saw Obi-Wan Kenobi. All they have to do is
That's
get it...
true.
All they have to do is get it kind of close to the end of Revenge of the Sith and take us on a journey from there. Like, that's really all they have to do. I don't think it's going to be that hard. We're going to have old wizard man, walking around doing his thing. I hope we see him fully grayed out by the end of the show. I think that'd be dope.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
I'm sure we will.
Dude, you think
I
about it?
wonder.
Oh, go ahead, Mikey.
Go ahead.
No.
No.
Oh, okay. No, you go.
He's
for real.
done a lot of talking. It's your time, Mike.
Oh, okay. I just wonder if they're actually gonna. Okay, spoiler for Clone. I know everybody's finished it here, but if they're actually gonna try to do anything with oh shoot, dude, what's his name?
Darth
Dual
Maul?
Lights. Darth Maul. Like, I wonder if they're actually gonna show any of that in live. That would be amazing.
That would
Could you
be
imagine?
really
that would be
cool.
awesome.
Just
I
even
didn't-
like a split, like a flashback of when he did that whole scene in Clone Wars. That was, oh man, that would
And
be
have
so
Ray Parker actually be in
Dude.
full makeup and costume.
Dude, that'd be so cool.
That would
Dude,
be really cool.
If they
Yeah.
literally had a few episodes of flashbacks, like if we saw Satine being like sliced down by Maul, I never
Mhm.
really made the full connection. Like, Maul killed his master / father figure and the love of his life,
Yeah.
and Obi-Wan was like kind to him whenever he killed him, and
because he realized
Crazy.
it was his mistake. I mean, we could go into this whole other
Well,
conversation,
in-
but
Good Lord.
I think, and Dave Filoni talks about it in an interview. I remember him saying, like, they have this moment where they both realize the Emperor played both of them. Like they
Yep.
got used. They were both just pawns in this whole thing, and I don't know, man. It's just kind of crazy, like to think about that whole thing. I
It
cannot
was-
wait until Obi-Wan, dude. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I hope they do something like that too, Mike, because that whole sequence where he really connects with, you know, how he felt Qui-Gon was right in that whole scene. You know, that's why he changed up. He did the whole, I think Dave Filoni talks about it. He did the whole, you know, peace fingers stance with
Yep,
the
and
lightsaber
then
at first,
changed it up.
and then
Yep.
changed to Qui-Gon stance because he
Yep.
was like, no, that's the old me. What would Qui-Gon do? And Qui-Gon
Exactly.
would do everything with peace and compassion and understanding and violence when violence had to be shown. That's why once he killed him, he was compassionate to him because that's what Qui-Gon would do.
Yeah,
Qui-Gon
I'm so
should-
excited.
Qui-Gon, Liam Neeson's gonna be in the show for sure.
I
Oh,
hope
Force Ghost.
So. I hope
sure.
so.
I would love to see.
But I don't think he'll be a Force ghost though, because
don't
he
think
didn't
so?
learn
I
that.
don't think
No,
he
he didn't
will.
learn that power before he died. He learned how to project his consciousness.
Right.
So I think Liam Neeson will be there in voice and in spirit,
Yeah,
but we
that
won't
makes
see him.
sense.
We won't.
Yeah.
If they want to stay with canon, we won't see him. I wouldn't complain if we saw him as a Force ghost, but I doubt they'll break canon
Well,
like that.
At the end of Revenge of the Sith, though, do we know that to be a fact for sure, Lige?
Yeah, it's in Clone Wars. It's for sure. It's in Clone Wars. So
Really?
Yoda goes to that mystery planet, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, but the Force light creatures that Yoda learns that power from
Right.
talk about Qui-Gon coming to learn and then having to leave before his training was complete, and therefore not finishing the physical projection.
Gotcha.
And that's why Yoda can do it, and Yoda taught Obi-Wan, and that's why and I'm sure Anakin learned when he was Vader through some Sith holocron or something like that, because that seems like a
Dude.
pretty Sith power to
Well,
me.
I mean,
But
Anakin's meditation, like the way it's drawn in the Vader comics, and just his like ethereal presence, like searching and all this other stuff, it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in comics, probably ever, because you can see the limbs that he's missing in real life are actually glowing light, like
Yeah.
they're glowing light in the comics, and like kind of visually representing of that's who he was, you know, and he's truly like, but it also has representation of there's still something there, you know, and like it wouldn't surprise me if he was able to learn that, you know, through some crazy means. But I never really, I guess I forgot that about Qui-Gon, because at the end of Revenge that he talks about being able to go see Qui-Gon again, or Yoda mentions it to Obi-Wan. But yeah, I think
yeah, they can talk and have conversations.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, he can't project himself like
I-
Obi-Wan can.
I think
Yeah,
we're
no,
gonna
you're right. He died before he got to that point.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember in Rebels when, oh man, what's his name, is in that realm, he hears him. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he can project his voice, but
Right.
that makes sense.
I think we'll see a de-aged Ewan McGregor training
A
with Qui-Gon.
de-aged? Oh yeah.
Oh.
That would be really, really cool.
I
That would
think-
make a lot of sense too.
I think that would be a really good way to like start the season, like especially if they're kind of going with like these origin type stories and these flashbacks, like if that stays consistent, that would be a really good way to kind of introduce, you know, who Obi-Wan was and kind of show that progression for him and kind of show him training. Maybe he was a little hot-headed like, you know, Anakin was, and it would be kind of cool to see Qui-Gon just completely sunning him in a, you know, in a sparring match and that type of thing. I don't know. We have a lot to look forward to for sure. But until we get to Obi-Wan, we're going to be definitely having lots of conversations like this, you know, for Mandalorian. And I'm excited. Mikey, you're more than welcome to join week to week if you want. We're going to be doing it. We're going to be trying to do it every week. Some weeks we'll do one episode at a time. Some other weeks we'll do 2 episodes at a time. So, you know.
I have a feeling we're going to be talking about a lot more than just Mandalorian, and probably Mandalorian very little. So
Yeah,
It's
I
gonna be
mean,
fun.
that's the whole point, you know. If the Mandalorian is a catalyst for us to have a big conversation, then I think that's what needs to happen, you know.
Speaking of that, I just thought of something that went along with our group text from like last week. What if what if the sequels don't get retconned that would make sense for Grogu not to stay with Luke. So if that's the case, what if Mace Windu did survive and Mace Windu shows back up in Mandalorian and he's the one who helps Grogu learn, or maybe works with them or something?
I was thinking about that today.
Were you really?
Yes.
But then
I know
if
we tossed around it being Jocasta Nu, but it could also that it would be a good segue for Mace Windu to reappear if he came back to the temple after he got thrown out and saved Grogu.
I saw that on Twitter. People were talking about it, and it makes sense. I mean, Jedi have survived falls. Jedi have survived falls like that before. I think Mace Windu, Mace Windu is a boss. So yeah, I mean, he would. The only issue though is he would have to make his way across Coruscant, because the Jedi Temple and the Capitol building, it's not right there, so the ship that he came in on, he would probably have to go ahead, Mikey.
You remember the first episode of the prequels? Or no, not the prequels, the second episode, when Anakin's falling through the speedway or whatever, lands on a ship, immediately takes off.
Yeah.
Like, he could easily do that. Like, they could easily film a scene where he's falling, he's like, oh, there's a ship, thanks. Straight to the palace. He's like, he knows at that point, if that is a thing, he knows it's over. He's like,
go ahead, Leish.
I was going to say, I feel like it's very possible that Mace Windu could have survived. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but if we really want to boil it down to that whole scene that was fought against him and the Emperor, he turned to the dark side, and he was already battling with the dark side as it is. So if he does come back, I don't think it'll be as a light force user. I think he'll be more of a antagonist than anything.
I think he'll be gray. I don't think he'll be.
What if?
Oh yeah, that's a good point too.
Yeah, more like what's his hoodie? Sorry, what is his name? We just talked about him. The names.
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon.
Yeah. And also another thing, Jocasta Nu will not be training Grogu because she is canonly dead.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. She's super.
Yeah,
dead.
she was killed by an Inquisitor in the Jedi Temple.
It'll be a
No, she was killed by Darth Vader. In the Vader comics,
killed her.
Vader killed her.
Yeah. She fought an Inquisitor, but then Vader
killed her.
Yeah, that's right.
So one thing that I was thinking, it'd be kind of rad if secretly I want, because you're right, like Mace was kind of always kind of bordering,
Yeah.
That's why he had a purple lightsaber. That's how they explain that in canon. That was a dark user. Kyber crystal.
Yeah, well, and also and like traditional Sith actually hate the color purple because it's kind of it's adjacent to the Sith way. It's like kind of bordering that line. You're almost like, it's like the Deadpool, of
like
of
gray
lightsabers.
area.
Yeah. But how rad would it be if he did survive? He's been trying to just keep a low profile, but then he gets found and is forced to become an Inquisitor.
That I would really enjoy.
I think that would be infinitely more interesting than
I would very much, and then have him find his way to redemption.
I would love that personally.
To become an Inquisitor?
Yes, dude, that would be amazing.
I don't think they'll do that.
I doubt they would. That'd be way too cool.
They won't do it. But I'm just saying it would be freaking rad. Especially if he was an Inquisitor with a purple lightsaber, a one-armed Inquisitor with a purple lightsaber.
If they do the Inquisitor thing, he's gonna have to die. Like that's the Inquisitor thing.
Yeah,
like they can be good at the. I don't want them to bring him out and him die. It's okay with Boba Fett. Like that's all right. But I mean, Mace Windu.
I wish my biggest Mace Windu want is I want him to meet Cal Kestis or Cal Kestis to meet him, and I want him to train Cal, because that would be really cool. That would literally be the coolest master Padawan relationship.
Well, the only thing with go ahead, sorry.
No, so I'm gonna change the subject, so you go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was just gonna say the only thing with training Cal Kestis is he's basically trained himself. Like if you played the game, like he's already there. Like he doesn't need anything.
No,
He could still use some more
He
training.
definitely needs more training.
He could, but I mean, with the abilities, especially if you like 100% the game, he's like a very powerful Jedi.
Yeah,
I mean,
but he's not a master though. He's just a Jedi Knight. I mean, there's
that's true. That is true.
There's still
There's
a
still
lot for
for
him to learn. Because I mean, he quit learning. He quit learning whenever he was young, and whenever he's kind
But he
of
was also trained through those Force ghosts though as well through the game.
Yeah,
Or not ghosts, but I
that's
guess
true.
they're
And I
not
mean,
ghosts.
he does technically have like an old master with him already. So
Yeah.
When did that game take place?
It takes place
Before Rebels, I'm pretty sure.
or
after
around
re-
that time. Yeah,
I think
Yeah,
it's around
after
that time.
after Revenge of the Sith and before Rebels.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's
So,
kind of
I mean,
like
it's possible.
yeah,
If they bring Cal Kestis into on screen, could be possible that
It would be
Mace
so
Windu
easy
had
to do too.
interactions.
It would be so easy to bring Cal Kestis on screen.
yeah. Especially
And I
since
hope they
that
do it
dude's
at
already-
some point.
That dude's already an actor, like IRL.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. He's got a lot of credits behind him, and he's a good actor too.
Yeah.
You know, he could pull it off.
Except for the
And, except for, I liked him as the Joker.
we're not going there. All
I
right,
liked him.
all right, gentlemen.
I liked him, Gabe.
I don't care. We're gonna wrap this up. So if you have any thing you want to let us know, you can definitely get in touch with us on Twitter or whatever. However you want to do it, you can email us at geeklybiweekly1@gmail.com. I still use the Geekly Biweekly email, gents. It is what it is. I'm having a really good time already. This is exactly what I wanted out of this, and I hope we can continue to replicate this. Less catch up next time, more just diving straight into the topic. And if we want to, talk about what we've been doing, we can. But I just always, try to use it as a warm up so everyone can get all loosey goosey. But it just really throws off the conversation. So I might just cut that whole part out.
That's rude. That was the funniest part.
You're not going to cut it out.
I'm not
I
going
said so much.
I said a lot of
I
things.
say, are you kidding me? I don't cut out anything like ever. So, which is funny because I listen to everything we put out now before we actually put it out. So, there's that. Mikey, I know for a fact Mikey doesn't want to be found. So, thank you for joining us, Mikey. Mikey, can you commit to coming next week?
What day? Sure.
Either Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, either Wednesday night or Thursday night. So,
I'll be here.
Lige, you want people to find you?
Yeah, Creep to Your Left on Instagram, Creep to Your Left on Twitter, and that's about it.
Jacob Labriere, get off your phone and tell people where they can find you.
I'm writing in my notebook.
So serious.
Jacob Allen Photos on Instagram, JACOBALAN Photos, and Federko on Twitter, FERDERKO.
There you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Gabriel Fast, and this is a little thing that we like to do called the Wannabe Critic Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in if you made it this far, and we hope to see you next week. Say goodbye, gentlemen.
Toodles.
Goodbye. Can I do the outro song?
Oh my god.
Stay classy.
Or we can just go, yo! The Boba
there
Fett
you go.
theme. Yeah. I'm gonna throw some
Turn
of
it
those in
off,
there.
Gabe. Let's end this.
All right. Well, once again, thank you so much for showing up today. I really, really appreciate it. Again, if this is your first time here, consider subscribing. I know that's the thing that all the YouTubers do. Everyone's asking to sub. The fact of the matter is that it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe, and who knows, you might even see a video every now and then that you actually like or may be interested in. Not only that, I do a bunch of stuff, so make sure you check all the information down in the description down below. We got podcasts, we got Let's Plays, we got all kinds of stuff for all kinds of fandoms. So make sure you check that out. I would seriously, seriously appreciate it, and I would love to see you around here more. I'm Gabriel Fast. I will always be the Wannabe Critic.